Hello all and welcome once again to my channel Bharat on Tech, where we talk about all things blockchain. Today I am going to be talking about Bitcoin. So what is Bitcoin? Most people today are hearing about Bitcoin for the first time thanks to the enormous price bubble that's been making waves on global news. There is a lot of information being passed around both by media and economic analysts. Quite a bit of this information is biased in a particular way. So today we'll be trying to take a look at the pros and cons of cryptocurrency. When I say cryptocurrency, I mean Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies which have come about after Bitcoin. I'll be highlighting the differences between various cryptocurrencies as and when the need comes up. Now, when I look at cryptocurrency, there are two ways to look at them. One is as a path-breaking technology which is going to radically change the way we do things in the future. And the other way is as an investment opportunity. In this video, let's take a look at the technological pros and cons of cryptocurrency overall. Pros. First, crypto is decentralized. If you look at the definition of decentralization, it is defined as the process of distributing or dispersing functions, powers, people or things away from a central location or authority. Okay, so Bitcoin is decentralized. So, what's the advantage of a decentralized currency? It means that no one particular group of people controls it. While our normal national currency is regulated and controlled by the nation states, cryptocurrency is truly decentralized, meaning that no one group controls it. It is truly democratic in the sense that it derives its value and authority from all of us. Consensus of the group makes it powerful, and this is an important aspect of cryptocurrencies. We all agree to one shared truth of value. If you remember your history lessons, you will remember that the earliest form of value transactions were done in the barter system, where people exchanged real goods with each other without any middlemen or authorities being involved. Whatever one person had an excess of, he used to exchange it with his neighbors and local people in exchange for some other goods which he needed. However, it was approximate in value and geographically restricted due to the physical limitations. There was no concept of currencies at that time. But as society organized into kingdoms and slowly into the nation states of today, state-issued currency has become the way to do business and trade. The practice of barter trading has faded away for the most part, though it is still practiced to a limited extent in many parts of the world. Now, thanks to cryptocurrency, for the first time, we have a way of exchanging value between each other without any third party or authority coming in between. Today, we also don't have any limitations of distance or national boundaries thanks to Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This will have far-reaching effects going forward. Note that there are still some concerns about whether Bitcoin is slowly heading towards centralization of power to some extent, because of the mining groups becoming organized and coordinating decisions in such a way as to try and give themselves more power. But more on that in another video. Second, cryptocurrency is global, which means anyone in the whole world can use it without any limitations or restrictions. Today, at least 2 billion people of the world don't have access to the banking system, even though they have access to the internet. Laborers, farmers and the poor have little if any access to the banking systems and are wary of all the complications of creating an account with a bank. These people are easily able to take up Bitcoin and use it for their daily transactions, all without the laborious processes of KYC, maintaining a bank account and bank balance, and most importantly, without the high transaction fees of 2 to 3% per transaction. While this may sound like pie in the sky or maybe even wishful thinking, here's a reality check on this. Bitcoin is really booming in the African continent. It's actually trading at a 40% premium, that too. Daily wage laborers are switching from M-Pesa to Bitcoin to send out money to their families for very low transaction fees. With the surge in Bitcoin prices, they are now even stashing their savings in Bitcoin and other crypto. Third, cryptocurrency is 24/7, 365 days a year. No banking holidays, no bank timings, etc. Crypto is truly accessible. Though with the surge in Bitcoin interest, the network sometimes is extremely bogged down. This will be resolved sooner rather than later with ongoing efforts such as the Lightning Network for Bitcoin and Raiden for Ethereum. More on this in upcoming videos. Fourth, Bitcoin transactions are really cheap. Transactions done using Bitcoin or other crypto are really cheap. For example, in June 2017, a $44 million transaction was carried out for just 13 cents on the Ethereum network. Talk about dirt cheap. No bank surcharges, markup fees, conversion fees, etc. at all. Fifth, crypto is fast. Normally, if you try to send money to someone in another country, it can take quite a long time, up to even a week, for the amount to actually deposit in the foreign account. Compare this to money sent using cryptocurrency, which might take a couple of seconds to maybe a few minutes, or maybe half an hour at the most. Sixth, crypto is anonymous. Well, sort of. Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies allow people to send and receive money pseudonymously, but it's not completely anonymous. Funnily enough, cash is still the ultimate anonymous financial instrument. It is extremely difficult to trace cash transactions without physical monitoring of suspects, and even then, it's very difficult beyond a certain point. So, even though any crypto transaction itself is publicly visible on the blockchain, it is difficult for the casual observer to find out exactly who is transacting. This is one of those points which is being misrepresented by media and security experts to attack cryptocurrency as being a danger to national security. However, we must understand that with the right tools and a competent intelligence agency, it is possible to track down tax evaders, terrorist networks, criminals, hackers, etc. who use the crypto network to send money across far easier than it is to track cash transactions. Note that there has been an increasing interest in truly anonymous cryptocurrencies such as Zcash and Monero, which promise to hide your identity completely. However, this is a constant game of hide and seek, with enforcement authorities using new tools and approaches to sniff out offenders, and evolution of cryptocurrencies trying to again hide the trail. Seventh, security. Bitcoin is probably the most secure financial system in the world thanks to its extremely decentralized model of operation. The network itself has never been compromised beyond repair. There was a value overflow incident where a bug in the early Bitcoin protocol was utilized to create 185 billion Bitcoin. However, this was quickly reversed with a soft fork within hours, and over time everyone got onto the main fork with the fix. I'll try to make another video on Bitcoin vulnerabilities that were fixed and ensured that the system never failed. So you need to understand that though there are weak points just like any other software, it hasn't been breached to the point of irreversible loss. On the other hand, theft of Bitcoin happens quite routinely, with hackers targeting individuals with phishing attacks and making away with Bitcoin. This is very similar to a bank being largely secure, but the moment a person walks out of a bank with money in his pockets, he is prone to theft. Eighth, thanks to a limited supply of Bitcoin, 21 million to be exact, Bitcoin is well placed with high demand and a fixed supply. This means that each Bitcoin should technically become more and more valuable as time passes. This also means that the usual problems of nations busily printing paper money doesn't apply to most cryptocurrency. For example, Zimbabweans faced an issue where a $100 trillion note of the Zimbabwean dollar was worth just 40 cents of the US dollar. What happens to the savings of the people in this scenario? Someone might have saved enough for their retirement only to find out that it will not even buy a loaf of bread in such a situation. Though this is just a reflection of the socio-economic conditions of the country, Rampant hyperinflation can happen in any country given the right conditions being created. However, this stability and price appreciation shouldn't be confused with the usual price volatility that we see around Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. This is with respect to the dollar and other currencies. This price volatility happens with positive and negative news about Bitcoin that causes investors to panic and either dump or buy cryptocurrency in a frenzy. Ninth, crypto is impossible to counterfeit. Again, thanks to the highly complex mathematical validation of cryptocurrency through consensus and a public shared ledger, it is meaningless to counterfeit it. Today, fiat currency faces a huge problem of counterfeit currency being created by the enemy states in order to attack its financial systems. Since paper money is easily and cheaply printable, enemy states can print and dump enormous amounts of picture-perfect currency and create financial havoc and destabilize a nation's currency. However, in the case of cryptocurrency, this is rendered meaningless. One just cannot create coinage for cheap due to the mathematical mining that has to be performed before the network awards new crypto tokens into your ledger entry. 10th, rapid evolution. As the cryptocurrency domain heats up with various altcoins or alternate currencies such as Bitcoin, Monero, Dash, Ethereum, Ripple, Zcash and a host of others, there is a rapid evolution of features and new concepts. These are adding value which cannot be replicated in conventional fiat currency. For example, Ethereum with its programmable money and smart contracts is leading the revolution of doing away with a large amount of financial systems entirely. Maybe just not now, but in the long-term future, it's definitely going to happen. 11th, last but not least, cryptocurrency has the unique feature of allowing enormous value to be carried around without any security issues. Gold or diamonds too have this feature to a limited extent, but try carrying a few $1 million of diamonds around with you and you'll know how risky it is. Whereas with a brain wallet, one can carry around any amount of value with no one the wiser. Be sure to watch my upcoming video on brain wallets and how to make them secure. Otherwise, be ready to kiss your money goodbye. Okay, now we have taken a look at the pros of cryptocurrency. There are a few but major cons as well in the field of crypto. So let's look at those cons. First, crypto are anti-establishment. The very concept of a decentralized currency strikes at the heart of the national state and its national currency, which is controlled by a government. No government is happy to hear about a parallel economy run entirely by a currency which it can't print, control or regulate or even tax. Second, anonymity. While people consider anonymity to be a great feature of cryptocurrency, the tax authorities aren't impressed or happy about it. People are concerned that at some point there's going to be a showdown or rather crackdown on cryptocurrencies by the all-powerful national states. Third, rapid evolution. While cryptocurrency is an awesome piece of technology, it does have some weak points due to the inherent evolution of crypto. First up is hard forking. Hard forking is a branching of a cryptocurrency due to differing opinions on how the currency should react to some event or issue or bug. For example, if there is a huge bug which compromises the security of the crypto system, but the user community doesn't agree on how to fix it or even whether to fix it, then a hard fork to fix it will lead to two different versions of the same currency with a common transactional history but a different future. This actually leads to two different currencies being created after the fork. And due to the inherent confusion as to which is the real branch, it can often severely threaten the trust of its user base. Competition. Though a smaller threat, the increase in popularity of a competitor cryptocurrency with better features or a sudden hike in user base can negatively affect the value of your holdings in a particular cryptocurrency. People usually hedge against this kind of threat by holding or hodling multiple cryptocurrencies. Mistake intolerance. If a user loses his money by making a stupid mistake, getting hacked or other such issues, he permanently loses his money. There's no central authority which he can move to try and get back his money. There are efforts going on to help solve these types of issues or minimize them by making it simpler to transact, but it can still hit you badly if you do mess up. On the whole, the cons might seem few, but they are rather big concerns, and only time will tell us how these get resolved. Alright, that concludes my talk on the pros and cons of cryptocurrency as a technology. I'll also be posting a few links on interesting articles, videos and other reference sources for those of you who are interested in an in-depth understanding of this topic. So, how did you find this video? You can always let me know about any particular topic of interest that I should be taking a look at in more detail, so that with your feedback, I can develop more interesting content for all of you. So please feel free to let me know in the comment section below what you think. If you found this video interesting, you can hit the like button on this video. And in order to get more notifications on future videos and all the things that I publish on a regular basis, you can click the subscribe button. Also, you can tap the bell icon next to the subscribe button if you want to keep up to date on my videos as I upload them. Alright, thanks for dropping by. See you around next time on Bharat on Tech.